Okay, I'm starting broadcast.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Great Garment Graphics webinar, The Heat Press, The Evolution to the Revolution. And first, I would like to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon, and as a lot of our loyal followers do on Tuesday and Thursdays afternoons at 2. So thank you very much for joining us. We're going to talk about the heat press today and kind of where it evolved from and what you can do with it. And there's a lot of really great things that we're going to cover. So let's get started into our presentation. First thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce your hosts. My name is Allison Zuccaro. I have been with Stalls for 16 years now. I'm the corporate trainer for Stalls ID and am a heat printing expert. I will be your, I like to say, cruise director for today's webinar. We'll talk about heat presses, and we have a lot of great videos that we're going to show you. We also have Ben Robinson. Ben Robinson was a contributing factor to our PowerPoint presentation and editing today. So he is the Director of Operations for our Hottronics division. He's headed up new product development and managed customer service and sales department. And Ben is, a lot of times you'll see him if you're ever at a trade show in our Stalls ID booth. You know, he's really talking to people about heat presses. It's very passionate to him. So I would like to give kudos to Ben. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to cover today. So today our agenda consists of where it all began. What is heat printing? Where did it come from? The science of it, without getting too scientific. We won't throw any formulas at you today. We're going to talk about the different types of heat presses that are available in the market. Second thing that we're going to cover is getting the most from your heat press. When you're shopping around for a heat press, what should you be looking for? What are key features that every heat press should have that you need to have in order, you know, to do successful heat printing? And then lastly, we're going to show you some videos and some photographs of some cutting-edge application techniques, mixing medias, and then revolutionizing in today's fashion market, because there's a lot of trends that are out there right now, and being able to heat print some of the trendy fabric designs, you know, is definitely going to put you ahead of your competitors. So that's the basics of what we're going to cover. Before we get into the science of heat printing, I would like to post a poll question. And there's only one, and it's just a quick one. I would like to know, do you currently own a heat press? I don't know if you could just answer that for me. That'll just give me some idea of, you know, who's shopping around. Maybe you're looking to add a second heat press, which is great. So I don't want to spend too much time, you know, on the technicalities of it and bore everyone if we all are pretty good with where our heat presses are. So, okay, we have about 87% have voted, so I'm going to close the poll. And I'm going to share the results with you. Okay, so for those of you that voted, 80% of you that are attending today currently do own a heat press, and 20% of you do not. So for those 20%, you're going to learn a lot of information that hopefully will help you and aid you when you go shopping around to purchase heat presses. For the rest of you that do, hopefully it'll be some refresher. You are shopping around for a second press, you know, trying to get, and at the end when we do talk about the various applications, that will definitely help with some of the things that you can do and kind of push your heat pressing up to the next level. Okay, where it all began. Oh my, there's all kinds of information that we can share here. And one of the bullet points on the screen today is 1960s heat transfer methods. And I'm going to date myself a little bit, but for those of you, you know, that do remember the old, and everyone will recognize it, the iconic Dukes of Hazzard shirts with the General Lee popping out of the shirt on the front, and that metallic, glittery kind of plastic pressing design that was on the front of that red t-shirt that we all had back when the Dukes of Hazzard was, you know, the in thing. That's kind of what we're talking about when we're talking about the 1960s heat transfer methods. And the way that the 1960s heat transfers really worked was you, as a consumer, would purchase a heat press or a heat transfer at a store, usually a craft store, sometimes, you know, the dime store that we used to call it. You could buy them and you could heat transfer them onto a t-shirt or a substrate with a household iron. And you know, that's how they were. Those were the ones that were sold in the stores. They were colorful, they were plasticky, you know, they were uncomfortable. If you know, had to run a marathon with one on, you weren't really happy. Would have a tendency to break down relatively quickly when it was laundered. And you know, it served its date and time. However, we've come a long way since then. So that's kind of, you know, where the variety of where the heat transfer printing started, and it's evolved from there. And we're going to talk about, you know, some of the evolutions. Back in the 1980s, when Stahls started selling heat printing materials out to customers, we actually found the need to develop heat presses that were more accurate for time, temperature, and pressure. And the reason being is because as heat printing technologies revolutionized, you know, being able to print on nylon was huge, and you know, now the performance wear is huge. The different chemical properties that are required to make a productive adhesion onto those materials and those fabrics is very important, but the key to all of that is having a heat press that will give you that accurate time, temperature, and pressure. And those are some of the things that we're going to talk about. For those of you that aren't familiar with what a heat press is, we're going to show you a lot of videos and a lot of pictures so you kind of get an idea. So that's just kind of an idea of where it came from. Okay. Do you need a heat press? If you don't already have a heat press and you aren't in any sort of apparel business whatsoever, whether it's promotional products, advertising, screen printer, embroiderer, I could, and a variety of people could give you 110 reasons why it would be beneficial to your business to have a heat press. And it's just an expansion of product line, things that you can offer. So we're going to watch a video. Oh, one second. And the video is going to show us and walk us through a variety of different things that we can do with a heat press. And the video is about 4 minutes long, and we're not going to watch the whole entire thing. I'm kind of going to skip through some of the different things. But I think it's important, some of the key things that we need to see here. I'm going to try to make this bigger. Okay, so why do you need a heat press? And this video was produced and created by Jason Murphy, and it's going to show you some really great things. But the basics of it is, what can you do with the heat press? What can you heat apply? What can you add to your business? What are the different things that you can do? And I apologize, it's taking a little longer than I thought to load up. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, there we go. It's playing. And there was some nice music, but we muted it a little bit. Okay. Sorry. I had all these videos loaded so they would play faster, and I apologize, it's not. It's still thinking about it. Okay, well, let's let this load and let's go back to our presentation. We'll come back to this video in a minute. Hopefully it will load up for us. Okay. Some of the biggest points that we're going to talk about is the types of heat presses that are available in the marketplace today. Okay, you have the clam style machine, which, and this really talks about the opening of the machines itself. So the clam style machine is this machine right down here. I'm putting the big X over. The clam style machine opens, this platen here opens up at about a 60-degree angle, and you will do your pressing on the blue pad that is underneath here. And clam style machines are great, you know, for a variety of different reasons. They're space saving. You know, we'll talk about, you know, some of those points in the next slide. But we're going to talk about clams and what they can add, what they're good for. The next type of machine that we have is a swinger. And a swinger is essentially a machine where the top platen, this part here that you see, swings. It'll swing this way and it'll swing this way. So your hot portion of your heat press actually moves left or right, depending on which way you want it to go. And that provides you with a heat-free workspace. The next sister, if you will, to a swing machine is a draw press. And a draw press, rather than having the hot portion of the machine move, the bottom portion moves. So this machine right here is actually a draw press. And what happens is it slides out on casters similar to the drawers in your dresser do. And they slide in and they slide out. Okay? And again, it offers you that heat-free workspace. And then last type of machine that we're going to cover today is a cap press. And a cap press allows you a curved surface so that when you are heat pressing caps, you don't have to smash it down and try to get that heat press flat or that surface flat. So that's what a cap press is. All right. So the next slide we'll talk about. Let me get my highlighter back. And in the next slide, we're going to talk about the actual advantages of a clam press. Okay. Okay, so a clam press, like I said before, it opens upward, and by opening upward on that angle, like I talked about, you're talking about saving space. No additional table space required because you don't have any hot portions of the machine swinging left or right, straight up and down. Because it is a clam style machine and the base does not have to be as bulky, it's lightweight, so it's more portable. This is a great machine if you're going to be going to venues, fairs, that sort of thing. You want a portable method. The clam press, a lot of clam presses offer an auto release option, and the auto release option is available, and what that does is after your allotted time countdown is expired, your machine will automatically pop open on its own. And this is great again because you can simply walk away and don't have to worry about scorching your garment or over applications, because as you walk away it's going to allow you it's going to pop open for you. And it sounds like my video is playing, so let's go back to that. Okay, so let's go back to full screen mode. And I'm sorry, this is back to the video that we were talking about with the heat application. So what Jason's actually going to show you here is how to heat apply a variety of different things. And you have the t-shirt press, and this is the shirt that Jason's talking about. And when I mute it, for some reason, let's go back to, it stops playing it. Okay. Well, this one's working fine. Okay, so we're just going to skip that video because the other video seems to be working fine. So let's continue on in our PowerPoint. Let's go back to that, talking about the different heat presses that we have. Okay, so the next press, we were finished talking about the clam. The next heat press we're going to talk about is the swing press. And the swing press, instead of opening up and down, opens on a swing method. So as you can see, this machine swings to the left or to the right, again, allowing you heat-free workspace. Okay. It does require 3 feet of counter space on the left of the machine and on the right of the machine. And the reason being is that you don't want it to, you do not want it to burn or scorch anything that may be on your table. If you have this on a table and you have something over here, this is going to be 330 and up degrees in temperature. You don't want to burn anything that might be here on your table space, okay? It's going to afford you heat-free layout. So if you have to lay out any names or numbers, it's going to offer you this space that will be available to lay out your designs before you actually heat press it. It's designed to open wide, so this will swing way over to here in order to give you that whole 16 by 20 platen space to do your layout. And it is perfect for thicker type fabric garments because you don't have the clam model where it clamps and closes. This has a little bit more give and feel, so it's going to allow you to do thicker garments a little bit easier. Okay. Swing press and the draw press, which we're going to talk about next, are perfect for garments that require layout. If you're laying out names, numbers, you know, anything in that department, jerseys, t-shirts, anything, especially for sporting goods, a swinger or a draw type press is the type of press that you're really going to want because you're not going to want to be doing layout work underneath that heat that you're going to get with a clam type of machine. Okay, so now we'll talk about the draw press. And the draw press is essentially similar in components to a swing type press. The difference is the way it opens. The features are very similar. So again, this machine is going to slide out on casters, slide in and out of here. And again, it's still going to offer you this heat-free workout layout space. And the other nice thing about a draw press is because it does slide out off of the table for you, you have the capacity to stand on this side of the press and do your layout work here instead of always having to stand in front. So the wonderful thing about a draw press is that this machine is 16 inches by 20 inches. So if you need to do some oversized hockey jerseys or football jerseys, you can turn those sideways on your press so that the arms would hang out this direction, and you can lay it out without having to try to eyeball it sideways and make sure that you get it nice and straight. Okay, so that's one of the advantages. You do still need 2 feet of counter space for a draw press, and it is very easy to open because when you're operating a draw press, you're simply pushing in and pulling out, and then you'd be pulling this lever down. So it does help to prevent operator fatigue. So those are some of the advantages of a draw press. Okay, cap presses. You know, we talked about the cap press in the beginning when I showed you the different styles, but the cap press is essential for printing and selling custom headwear. And you know, if you think custom headwear revolves around teamwear, and it does. You know, if you're doing any sort of team, you know, there's teamwear. But just stop and think for a minute. How many people do you see out in the world on a regular daily basis at the grocery store, at the drugstore, driving in their car that have a cap on? And how many of those caps are blank? Nobody wears a blank cap. Everybody has something on their cap, and a very large percentage of the American population wears baseball caps. So even though, you know, it may be tied into, and the adage is that you know, it's baseball or it's sports related, it really isn't. And there's so many different things that you can do and a different way to evolve your business by adding caps to your lineup. And we'll talk about some other things, you know, that you can do. Cap presses can be used not only for caps, but you can print sleeves, the legs of pants, you know, smaller areas. It's really great for left chest areas because it helps you with the alignment because you only have that limited space. So cap presses, you know, can really be a great addition to any heat printing business. And again, not just for caps. Okay, so now that we've talked about the various heat presses and the types, we'll talk about some of the things that every heat press should have. And this is when you're shopping around and you're asking questions and you're at the trade show and you're going to the different, you know, heat press manufacturers and you're looking for various things. The first thing is you want to have tubular cal rod heating element and thick platens for even heat. Okay, Elson, what does that mean? Okay. Basically what that means is that your cal rod is your heating element. That's what we call the heating element, and that's the coil that runs throughout the surface of the upper platen, and that's what's going to cause your heat. Many cal rod or heat presses are manufactured with cal rods, and here's your upper platen, and the cal rods kind of go like this. Okay? So what that gives you is it gives you cold spots here, 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 and here. You want to look for a heat press that has a cal rod system that's manufactured with cal rods that coil up and down and in and out like this inside of your press. What that's going to give you is even temperature throughout the press because these rods are never further apart in any one area. So the spacing in between them is equal. And that's going to allow you even temperature all the time. When we talk about thick platens, we're talking about how thick the profile of the platen is. And the reason being is you want your platens to be as thick as possible this way because that allows more space for heat. Every time you heat press something, the heat is going to dissipate from the inside of the upper platen out. And the more space you have to retain heat in, the faster your machine is going to recover. So you don't want your machine to vary degrees, 5, 10 degrees when you just heat press something. So the thicker the upper platen, the better it's going to retain its heat. All right. Secondly, digital readouts for time, temperature, and pressure. Whenever you're heat applying something, you're always going to follow the recipe. And the recipe is always going to involve a time, the amount of temperature that you're going to press it at, and pressure. And it's great if you know what the recipe is and to follow it, but you still have to have a piece of equipment that will give you accurate measurements of your time, your temperature, and your pressure. And the best, most accurate readings are going to be from digital readouts. No meat thermometer, temperature devices, no bell timers, you know, digital time, digital temperature, and digital pressure are always going to get you the best results. Okay. Over the center pressure adjustment to ensure even pressure. And this is really important, and I'm actually going to go back to a slide to show you a picture. All right, maybe yeah, this one's better. Okay, you can see on this machine here, your pressure adjustment is right here in the middle of the machine. And the way the pressure adjustment works is it's centered in the middle of the machine and it goes all the way down through and connects to this platen here. All right, and it's really lowering and bringing the platen up and bringing the platen down. You want to make sure that this pressure adjustment is centered in the center of the machine so that it's always adjusting your pressure in the middle. So your pressure is always going to go from the inside out so that you don't have any pinching in the corners of the heat press. Okay, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about over the center pressure adjustments. And some features of heat presses that you're going to want to ask different manufacturers for is warranty. And warranty is really super important. You always want to make sure that there is a lifetime heating element warranty. The heating element is the most important component of a heat press because without even heat, you're going to have inaccurate applications. So you want to make sure that the warranty covers a lifetime on the heating element. You know, that's the most important part. You could you know, try to finagle some of the other things that may go wrong with the heat press, but there's no way you're going to work around heat. Interchangeable platens are always a good feature that are available for it, and that's just going to make your heat applications a little bit easier. When you're heat applying onto a duffel bag or the end of a tote, or we're going to watch a video in a little bit on a beach chair, it's going to help you to, you know, isolate the area that you want to print on. Okay. And another feature that's very nice to have is auto opening. And that's going to prevent over application, and it's going to increase your production time, because instead of having to stand there and wait for that press to auto open or auto release, you can be doing the layout on the next design, getting ready to load it up onto the heat press. So those are some key features. Some more key features are solid state, temperature control for accurate heat. We talked about having an upper platen that's thick, that has, you know, equal spacing cal rods in order to ensure accurate heat. I told you about having a digital temperature readout so that you can always see accurately, but you also need to make sure that you have an accurate temperature device. So you want to make sure that the sensor that's measuring the temperature of your heat press is very accurate, and that it is measuring it several times each minute, because that's what's going to essentially tell your heat press when it needs to heat up more or when it needs to cool down in order to ensure that you have accurate temperature. Okay. And then wide openings for easy garment placement. And this is essential, especially when you're looking at clam style presses. You want to make sure that you have a nice wide opening so that when you are laying things out on the heat press under a clam, you're not going to get the burnt knuckle syndrome, where you're going to end up scorching your knuckles because you're laying it out and you inadvertently hit the top of the heat press. Okay, so must-have accessories, interchangeable platens. And we talked about interchangeable platens, and I told you it was a great feature to be available for a heat press. But now we're going to, hopefully, this video is going to work, and we're going to watch this video on interchangeable platens. Okay. Yep. And what we're going to do is we're going to heat apply a CAD Prints Express print. Okay, so CAD prints full color digital transfer onto a beach chair. And you can see right here, here's your interchangeable platen. You don't have that full 16 by 20 platen. This is a small, it's a 5 by 7 size platen. And what that does is it isolates the area so that when we're heat applying on this beach chair, we don't have to worry about smashing these tubes on the and ruining the beach chair. So that's the advantage of interchangeable platens. Okay, and you can see Jason is now going to lay out the express print design, which again is full color. And he's going to push it back in. We always preheat. That was the first thing that we did, was the preheating. Okay, and we're going to count down the 8 seconds, and then the heat seal machine would buzz and Jason will open it up. And then the last step that he's going to do is he's going to peel that clear carrier off of there. Okay, so there's the tidal waves design heat pressed onto a beach chair using an interchangeable platen. And those interchangeable platens are great because all they do is they snap in and they snap out. Okay. We're going to go back over to our other okay. So we have a lot of back and forth between the PowerPoint and okay, so that is the interchangeable platens for a garment platen, and or a garment press, and there's 3 different kinds, and these are pretty much industry standard. There's the 7-inch round, which is going to be great for the end of tote or gym bags. You have your 8 by 10 tote master, and then your 6 by 10 shortstop. And the shortstop is great for sleeves, legs, and youth garments. and then your tote master again fits perfectly inside of those tote bags with the handles, the various handles. So you want to isolate those handles so that A, in some instances you don't melt them because of the fabric that they're made out of, and B, that you don't have inaccurate pressure. We also have interchangeable platens for a cap press. And the next video that we're going to watch is how to decorate a 6-panel cap. And we're going to go out to that video, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the cap press and the different size platens. Okay. We have various size platens for the cap press, and it really is going to depend on what size platen or what size cap you're pressing on. You know, you have your standard cap platen, but then you also have those low profile or those low crown caps, and those require a smaller print area because you want to make sure when you're printing on a cap platen that you're filling up as much space of the front of that cap as possible, because you want that cap or that fabric to be nice and taut so that you don't have any bumps or ridges in it, because that will give you, again, uneven pressure. So that's when you're actually going to swap out cap platens. And I apologize, it doesn't look like this video is going to load either very quickly. All right. So let's go back. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Oops. Oh, of course. As soon as I say it's not going to play, it starts to play. Lots of flipping. Okay, I guess not. Okay. So accessories, we've talked about the different types of heat presses. We've talked about the interchangeable platens for cap presses. Now we're going to talk about some various accessories that you can use with your heat presses. And you have your quick slip pad protector. The quick slip pad protector is this Teflon coated protector, and it has elastic all the way around the outside of the press. And what this does is it makes a nice snug fit on your heat press. And you can order a Teflon a quick slip pad protector for any size press that you have for the lower platen. And here's what the pad protector does. Two things. First of all, it gives you a nice clean surface to work on. Because this is Teflon coated, it's non-stick. So any residue that you get on here, and we've all done it, you'll just take a damp cloth and go back and wipe over that Teflon, wipe it off with a damp cloth, and it will be gone. Good as new, you won't even know that it's there. All right, so that's number one. It's going to protect that lower platen. That lower platen is made out of a heat-resistant rubber, and what that heat-resistant rubber is going to do is, after years of use, it's going to start to curl up in the corners. And that's going to cause inaccurate pressure again. So quick slip pad protector is going to help your heat press from deteriorating. It's going to make that lower platen, that rubber pad, last much, much longer. Okay. The other wonderful thing about the quick slip pad protector is that because it is nylon, or Teflon, I'm sorry, it's slippery. It's very slippery. So when you're putting cotton t-shirts onto a heat press, if you just have that rubber pad, those cotton t-shirts are kind of going to get hung up a little. With the quick slip pad protector on here, because it's slippery, you're going to be able to slide those shirts on and off and maneuver them around so that you always can find the center really quickly. And in my opinion, that is like the key. I would never ever use a heat press without a pad protector on it. It's difficult. Okay. Other accessories that you're going to need when you're going to be printing with your heat press are cover sheets. And cover sheets come in a variety of shapes and sizes and finishes, but there's two basic industry standard cover sheets. You have your Teflon and you have your craft paper. And your Teflon, again, this is the Teflon sheet up here, it's going to provide you with a shiny finish on anything that you heat apply with it. So if you're heat applying thermofilm material and you cover it with Teflon, it's going to give you that super shine, real high glossy screen print look to it. And if that's the finish that you're going for, then Teflon is the man for the job. Okay? Craft paper, on the other hand, is going to give you a dull matte finish, which is sometimes preferable. Craft paper can be used on both sides. Teflon can be used on both sides. Teflon is going to outlast craft paper. Craft paper, you're going to be able to use 15 to 20 applications, and then the coating, the non-stick coating on it's going to wear off, or you'll get something on it, or you'll rip it, or it'll wrinkle, and then you're going to throw it away and replace it with another one. Teflon, you can do hundreds of applications on it. It's just going to last a lot longer if you're looking for durability. Okay, and I'm going to show you, here is a photograph that we did before with the difference of the cover sheets. So the Teflon is the one on the top, and you can see the shine in it. And then you have your craft paper, which is the one below that has the matte dull finish. And this was with gold thermofilm letters so that you can see the differences in the two. Okay. Heat eraser is another accessory, and the heat eraser is going to help you cool off designs that need a cool peel. So if you're doing an application that requires a cold peel, you're going to go ahead and heat apply it, and then rather than taking it off the press or moving it over someplace to cool off, you can simply rub over the top of it with a heat eraser, and it will make that design cool, because that heat eraser is going to dissipate the heat away from the graphic and allow you to peel that a little bit quicker. We do have a video set up, but since we're having problems getting the video to load, and we have a couple other videos toward the end that I think would be better as application with the glitter flake and things, we're just going to continue on. Okay. Print perfect pads and flexible application pads and Teflon pillows. Okay. There is all different kinds of reasons why you would use one versus the other and we've talked about this a variety of times, but print perfect pads and Teflon pillows are always available, and these are to help you with pressure. Okay, whenever you need to heat apply onto something that has a button, a seam, a zipper, anything that's going to throw off your pressure, you're going to want to use a Teflon pillow or a print perfect pad. I always get the question, when do I use a pillow and when do I use a pad? Okay, pillows are absolutely great for any product that has a carrier, like our CAD cut materials, thermofilm, anything of that nature. Pillows work really well for. Print perfect pads work best, and are always going to be your go-to option whenever you're heat printing anything that has paper. So if it's a color laser copy paper, if it's a plastisol ink on paper transfer, if it's a CAD prints, because it's got that carrier transfer, you're going to want to use a print perfect pad. It's going to give you a better, more even surface than what you're going to get with the Teflon pillow. So that's kind of the difference. The print perfect pad will actually elevate the heat area, the area you want to heat apply onto, and the Teflon pillow actually absorbs the button, the seam, or the zipper and elevates the area around it. So they essentially are used for the same purpose, but they work two different ways, and the science behind them is a little bit different. So I always remember print perfect pads with paper. And if you remember that, the P's, then you'll kind of know when to use one versus the other. Okay. Oops. Right, so we've talked about, again, the heat seal machines. We've talked about features and benefits. We've talked about accessories that are available and essential for, productive heat printing. Now, what can you do with a heat press? What can you heat print? We're going to talk about cutting edge applications, transfer papers and foil, and this is the newest, one of the newest things that's is available out in the marketplace, and you'll see that bling. Everyone wants that shine, that sheen, that foil look to it, and transfer papers and foil is a good way to offer that in the fashion trend market. So, and there's a variety of different ways that you can do this. You can use foil with screen printed transfers or screen print, or you can use it with transfer papers. And there's an exact print transfer paper that you can run through a color laser printer, and then when you heat apply it, it's very nice because you don't get the box around it. It does not heat apply in areas where there is no print. So this was all transfer paper at one point, and it has been removed, and there is no box or cloud around the actual print. And then there's a heat transfer foil that you can purchase, and you simply finish off your application by highlighting one of the areas, which in this photo we did this text up here, and we simply added foil to that. And it is that real high metallic looking foil in a variety of different colors. So that's one application that you can do with a heat press. And a lot of screen printers, when you look into actually screen printing with foil, the foil application is actually done with a heat press as well. So, this is another avenue that you can go to with a heat press. Full color digital transfers. And this, we saw the video that Jason did with the video because it showed you, again, interchangeable platens, but it also showed you a full color digital design that you could get in the detail and the color depth that you can achieve with full color digital transfers. And full color digital transfers, again, are heat applied with a heat press, and you can get 16.9 billion colors. You can get shading, gradients, and fills that you would never be able to achieve with spot color applications or embroidery applications. It's like your artwork in high definition. It just gives you that depth. And again, this is another thing that you can do or offer your customers with a heat press. Reflective safety designs. This is a new one. Installs ID. You need to be seen. And, we have so many runners, joggers, people walking their dogs, your cyclists, even people that, ride motorcycles or, do all the various activities at night. And this is above and beyond your safety, your industry, your workers, that use the safety reflective. This is just high visibility for recreational purposes. So there are some reflective safety designs, and these are great because these are actually repeating pattern strips. So these strips are 1 inch wide or 2 inches wide by 12 inches long, and this is just a sampling of some of the patterns that you can get, but they're all repeating patterns, and they're all available. They're in the 3M safety reflective silver, so when you heat apply them, it's going to give you that nice stripe down, your sleeve, your leg, across the back, and that's going to make it more visible. And these were all created with a fashion sense or a trend to them. You see the flames, the skull and crossbones, the tire tread. These are all fashion forward designs. And glitter flake. what can we say about Glitter Flake? The picture kind of speaks for itself. It's extremely glittery. It's got that bling. It definitely looks like glitter on a shirt. And this is really, really, really popular, especially for, you know, the women, the teenagers right now. So let's go back and see if we can get the Glitter Flake video to work without taking too long to load. Okay. Let's see. And I apologize, my computer is caught up. Here we go, Glitter Flake. Oh, it's Print Perfect pad. That one's going to run quickly. Gloss. Let's see. These all ran fine right before. Okay. So this is Stahl's CAD Cut Direct, and these are variety of videos that Josh Ellsworth puts out, and they'll all show you different things. And this is actually the next video that I wanted to watch, which is the Pebble Puff application. But since it's playing, we're going to watch this now. And you can see Josh is loading up the Pebble Puff material. And Pebble Puff is great because it's a material that is CAD cut, and it has little bumps on it, and it's raised. And you can see he's cut this in white. And what he's essentially going to do with the Pebble Puff is he's going to heat apply it to the bottom of socks. So he's going to make that kind of those socks that you see with the non-skid application. And with the Pebble Puff, you do the initial application at 330 for a few seconds, and you peel the carrier off. The secondary application, when you put the press down, you don't lock it all the way down in place. You simply let it rest on top of the design, and what that does is it gets that image though to puff up, and it actually has a three-dimensional or a puff texture to it. And this is just, you know, another way, another thing that you can do with heat application. And you can see the variety. And those were all very simple things, names, numbers, and there's a variety of different colors available. So we did the colorful socks with just white puff, and now we're doing the white socks with some red puff. Okay, and puff is great to add texture and dimension. All right, so let's see if we can watch the Glitter Flake video. Here we go. I have sound, but no video. But now okay. Okay, so Josh is going to show you again one of his tip jar videos where he talks about the Glitter Flake, and we're going to see him actually cut it and weed it and heat apply it. But again, this was that Glitter Flake that I showed you the picture with the heart and the peace symbol on it. And it's all CAD cuttable with a vinyl cutter. He's going to load up the material. Now he sent his design over and it's cutting. Once it's done cutting, he'll just cut the Glitter Flake off, and now the weeding, and that's going to be with any CAD cut material. And you can see how metallic looking it is. I mean, it's definitely very, very, very metallic and shiny. Always going to preheat, always to get any moisture out. He's going to do the first application. Here's that heat eraser. because glitter flake is a cool peel. So you're going to want to rub that with the heat eraser. That's going to dissipate the heat so that when you go to peel the carrier off, you don't have to wait, you know, an exorbitantly amount of time. Okay, two-color application. Notice how the colors aren't overlapping. It's kind of an outline, so you're going to get that two-color effect without having to do any overlapping. And again, we're going to use the heat eraser. Nice, cool peel. And you have a two-color glitter flake, and it literally looks like you sprinkled glitter all over the shirt. Again, very fashion forward, very trendy. Okay. Okay, so back to our presentation. So we saw the glitter flake and we saw the glitter flake video. We watched the Pebble Puff video since it was there, and I'll show you this design. This design was actually done with Pebble Puff as the foreground to give it that dimension and texture. And the background layer of this was the super film with the H2O technique. And that's where you heat apply the super film at a really high temperature so that when you peel it, not all of the color releases off of the carrier. And it gives you that distress, that real soft hand, similar to a water-based ink feel. And then the Pebble Puff on top of that design gives it that additional texture. Okay, so that's all of the slides that we have today. I'm going to ask Nicole, because I know Nicole's been busy answering questions. So let's see if Nicole has any questions that need to be answered. Nicole, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Allison. We do have one question. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a attendee who has a hat press. He says sometimes they get creases around the hat area of the platen, and they have a couple different size platens for the press. He wants to know what could be causing this.
Okay. It's probably because the platen is not filling up the front of the press, or the front of the cap like it should be. And I have experienced this before. Cap manufacturers have just changed so much in Spectrum by making all different kinds of caps that we couldn't forethink to have enough cap platens. What I recommend you'd use is a Print Perfect pad. So you can purchase a Print Perfect pad and you can put it over top of that platen to fill up that cap to get that crease out. And the reason why I'm recommending a Print Perfect pad is because you can cut it down. If the Print Perfect pad, doesn't fit exactly, you can cut it down to fit and exactly. And you want to make sure that you get it in there and you want to get that crease out. And that's just because the platen is just not fitting right. So that's a very good question, though.
Okay, thanks, Allison. We have another question. They want you to describe the H2O time, temperature, and pressure technique again.
Okay, H2O is the superfilm material that is cut, and when you heat apply it at 400 degrees, which is out of the normal application, and you heat apply it depending on what technique you want. If you want the extreme, you're going to heat apply it for 20 seconds on a firm pressure. And when you release it, you're going to peel it immediately, as hot as you possibly can stand to peel it. And it's going to split, and so that you can heat apply it and it'll give you that soft hand. And the super film, on the super film tech sheet, it does list the H2O application instructions off to the side. So that is on that super film tech sheet. But that's where they're going to want to look for that.
Okay, thank you, Allison. We have one last question. It says, any way to fix an outline you get with the cap press when applying tagless labels on a t-shirt?
Usually the outline will dissipate once it cools down. If they're talking about like the outline that the press has, it'll cool down as it cools down. If it doesn't, typically it's pressure. So if you can release the pressure a little bit, maybe not use so much pressure, hopefully that will help eliminate that. But those usually will go away after the first laundering. So although you may not want to launder them before you deliver them to every customer, they will dissipate after the first laundering.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, it looks like that's all of the questions.
Okay. Well, thanks, Nicole, for giving me those questions, and I'd like to thank everyone for attending and bearing with my video problems today. We are going to have another webinar again next week, May 17th at 2 o'clock, Your Business and the Social Media Boom. So if you need to know more about Facebook, blogging, tweeting, and how it can benefit your business, that's definitely going to be a webinar that you want to sign up for. You can do that at greatgarmentgraphics.com. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors today, Stahls ID Direct, Stahls Canada, Imprintables Warehouse, and Transfer Express, whom would all be very happy to sell you a heat press if you need to call any of them, and would help you with any heat press questions. And then for those of you that are here today, please watch your emails, because there will be a special thank you, as Great Garment Graphics always likes to send, for attending today. So thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon.